Now, The Hunt Palmer Show. You are now listening to The Hunt Palmer Show on 104.5 ESPN Baton Rouge. Locking down the middle of the day. Live from the Mercedes-Benz of Baton Rouge studios. This is Hunt Palmer.
Welcome in. Hunt Palmer coming to you from the Mercedes-Benz of Baton Rouge studio downtown in the capital city on this Wednesday, opening day of the early signing period for college football, and we will have you covered from that perspective. We're working towards the weekend here. We'll talk some Saints in hour number 2. What if Wednesday's coming at you in 30 minutes? JD Piquel from On 3 usually with us on Wednesdays. However, he's got to do a signing day show basically all day long over on his YouTube channel, so he's going to jump on next week. I do want to talk a little about the Pels and what they got into last night. That's going to come up at the end of this hour, but we start with National Signing Day in college football, and this is a day that most of us got in the routine of experiencing on a Tuesday in early February for the majority of our college football lives. And it's been adjusted, and we understand that now most of the hay goes into the barn in December when you're talking about National Signing Day for college football. And as of 7 minutes ago, when Juwan Johnson's fax, I don't even know how they do it now. Maybe it's still a fax. It was a fax back 10 years ago when I was covering it really closely. His paperwork has been filed at LSU. 27 commitments in this class, 27 letters of intent have come in to LSU. It is not yet 1:05 p.m. Central Time. So as we predicted, as the folks over at On 3 or Go247 or wherever, Tigermate, wherever you find your recruiting information, all predicted, it was a boring day for LSU in the best possible way. There's been chaos in Gainesville, chaos in Auburn, chaos in Columbus. There's been stuff going on in College Station. In Baton Rouge, very quiet. 27 letters went out, 27 letters have come in, and this signing class for the early signing period, we believe, is complete. Now, Dominic McKinley, the 5-star from over in Acadiana, is still looking around and has told everyone that he's going to wait to sign until February. There's a push apparently going on from maybe Texas, maybe Baton Rouge, to get that document signed today. Doesn't sound like that's going to happen. So I think, based on what you read from the folks over at On 3, that this is pretty much it for LSU. And you know what? That's okay. You don't have to flip 3 guys at the end. You don't need the 5-star splash at the end. You go out and get 27 guys committed, and those 27 guys sign on the dotted line on signing day. That's a job well done. So let's go into LSU's class player by player, but we'll start by the numbers. 26 high schoolers have signed with LSU today. 1 junior college player has signed with LSU, and they'll take 3 transfers today that they'll announce. So that's 30 total new additions to the LSU football program. Of the high school signees, if you look at On 3's industry rating, which takes all of the different outlets into account, you're talking about 17 4-star players and 9 3-star players in this class. No 3-stars by the industry rating overall. There are certain 5-stars. There are some that are ranked 5-star at some different places, but if you look at the industry rating, you're looking at 17 4-stars and 9 3-stars. 11 of them are on the offensive side of the ball, 14 on the defensive side of the ball. Of these 27 commitments, 17 from Louisiana, 5 from Texas, 1 from Georgia, 1 from Florida, 1 from North Carolina, and 1 from Mississippi. If you look at On 3's state rankings, LSU has signed 8 of the top 10 players in the state of Louisiana today. Wardell Mack headed to Texas, and then Dominic McKinley remains essentially uncommitted after verbally committing to Texas A&M, now saying we're going to open things up and wait until February. So if your concern was that Brian Kelly would not be able to recruit the state of Louisiana, would try to go too national, if you look at his second class, the first full cycle he's been able to recruit, to pull 8 of the top 10 in the state of Louisiana, and to get 17 commitments from inside the state, I think is a really, really good place to start for Brian Kelly. Let's look at the offensive commitments that LSU has secured. They took one quarterback in this high school signing class. That's Colin Hurley. He's been committed to LSU for 2 years since he was a freshman in high school. He skipped a year of high school and is going to be an early enrollee. You're going to talk about a guy that comes into campus before his 18th birthday. That's very difficult to do, but he's a talented kid, has not necessarily grown a ton since his freshman, sophomore year. You're looking at a 6', 6'1" quarterback that's 215 pounds, pretty well put together. Was incredibly highly rated for his class as a young high schooler, has now drifted back, and you can look at him as a 4-star or 3-star depending on where you look at. But he is a quarterback you add in this class. He moves into the quarterback room that will now include A.J. Swan. It will include Ricky Collins and, of course, Garrett Nussmeier. At running back, I'm thrilled with the addition of Caden Durham. Caden Durham is a 4-star from the Dallas area, Duncanville High School, and I think he's got a chance to be a star. Now, I realize on signing day, every 3-star is underrated. Every 4-star could be a star. Every 5-star is a pro game changer. I get it. That's how this day works, and the vast majority of the players in this class don't even finish their time at LSU. But I think Caden Durham is got star written all over him. He's a track star that has got a low center of gravity and a sturdy frame. He's been a home run hitter at the highest level you can play in Texas. I've talked about this a bunch. LSU, in my opinion, has not had the elite level NFL backs that it churned out for 20 straight years over the last few years, really since Clyde left. Caden Durham, as well as Caleb Jackson, kind of look like that to me. I'm ecstatic about the addition of Caden Durham. 3 wide receivers in this class. You follow up a really strong wide receiver class from last year that included Shelton Sampson and Jalen Brown and Kyle Parker and Kai Preen and those guys. That's a really athletic, talented group of receivers. This one is as well. Jelani Watkins, a 4-star from the Houston area, is track fast. Got to learn to run some routes. Got to catch the ball a little bit better, but the raw tools and the speed are certainly there. Kylan Billiot, 4-star from Homa, has got incredible athleticism and a good frame, good size. And then Michael Turner, a 4-star from Curtis, is a really, really good-looking prospect at wide receiver as well. None of these guys are 6'5", 6'6". They're more mid-sized receivers that have really, really good speed and athleticism. So you add 3 more wide receivers into the class. You're losing a ton of production here with, we think, Brian Thomas and Malik Neighbors moving on. Got to keep stocking those shelves at receivers. They've got a lot of young talent there. They're adding to it. Tradaz Green is the only tight end in this class, and he is a monster. Maybe the best player in the state of Louisiana, depending on who you look at. They would say that he is. He's got freakish size at 6'6", 6'7". He can run. He can jump incredibly well. The catch radius is awesome. When Brian Kelly got to LSU, the tight end room was empty. You had to lean on a freshman in Mason Taylor, who will now be a junior next year. You've added Mac Markway, who's gotten significant playing time. Kamorian Pimpton, who looked really good in his workout yesterday that we got to see. And then you add maybe the top tight end in the country to this class. This is a really, really good-looking group of pass catchers that you bring in, and Tradaz Green is maybe the best-looking of them all. On the offensive line, there are 5 signees in this offensive line class. And I'll tell you, this is the first place we looked when Brian Kelly took this LSU job. Said, okay, what is Brian Kelly's MO? And one of them was that he's going to sign and develop elite-level offensive linemen. He talked about it in his introductory press conference. Leah Van asked the question about offensive line. He said, well, without getting too deep into it, there's a profile we recruit to. We recruit to that, we stick to it, and we develop it. We can tell by looking at it what he did at Notre Dame and what he's doing now at LSU. That profile is long, lean, agile offensive linemen who grow into their frames as college players. And you look at Weston Davis, who is a 5-star. If you look at On 3, is a 4-star by the others, a 4-star in the composite. That's a guy who's 6'6", 285 pounds, and really plays well at basketball. Like, if you look at his highlights on the basketball floor, he can jump, he's agile, he blocks shots. Like, that's the kind of athlete and kind of frame you're pulling in with Weston Davis. Ethan Callaway, that LSU signs in this class. Another big, long, lean frame. 6'7", 300 pounds from North Carolina, a 4-star by the On3 industry ratings. Look at Ori Williams. Ori Williams is from Texas. He's another guy that fits into this profile that Brian Kelly loves to recruit to. And Brad Davis has stuck to it, and they've churned out really, really good offensive lines. Ori Williams is 6'7", 300 pounds. And then Kyrie Lee is an interior offensive lineman. He'll play guard or center, but 6'5", 307 from John Ehret. That's another guy that is not 345 pounds that you've got to cut some weight off of. And then Joe Cryer is the last, Natchitoches Central. He's a 3-star by every single service, but a guy that's 6'4", 290 pounds and profiles to play on the inside. Again, none of these guys are 330, 340, 350, 360. That's just not the way Brian Kelly likes to go about recruiting his offensive linemen. So that's your look at LSU's 11-man offense. You have 1 quarterback, 1 running back, 3 wide receivers, a tight end, and 5 offensive linemen. 3 of them profile on the outside, 2 profile on the inside, but all of them kind of fit what Brian Kelly likes to do. So on the offensive side of the ball, I don't have really any question marks in terms of positions of need and players that they took. I think your quarterback situation is very healthy. I think your running back situation is very healthy. I think your wide receiver position, while it's very unproven, and it will be a question entering the offseason, no doubt, the numbers are good. Kyron Lacey is there. Aaron Anderson is there. Kyle Parker, Shelton Sampson, Jalen Brown, Landon Ibieta. Then you look at this group that has Jelani Watkins and Kylan Bilia and Michael Turner, and you bring in a transfer from Mississippi State. Like, you've got plenty of guys with a lot of talent at wide receiver. Offensive line looks phenomenal at this point. So offensively, you've got the continuity of Mike Denbrock. You've got a 4th-year starting quarterback, and then your numbers across the board are very good. Now, numbers don't necessarily mean that it's going to be great all the time, but it's a good start. If you don't have any numbers, you got no chance. LSU looks healthy really across the board on offense, and today was a really good step in the right direction for them. It's the first day of the early signing period for college football. We're talking about it when we come back after this timeout. We'll talk about what LSU did on defense. There are a lot of needs across the board on defense. What did LSU get accomplished today? That's next.
You are now listening to the Hunt Palmer Show.
One Bath and Closets, onebathandclosets.com is the website. You got to go. Check it out. You can see testimonials from satisfied customers. You can see pictures of the great work they do at One Bath and Closets, and you can request that free consultation with David Duvall and his team so they can tell you what they can do for you. Say this is you're looking at closets. David Duvall and his team come in, they got a questionnaire. Okay, what do you have? How many pairs of shoes? How many suits? How many people are using this closet? How much room do you have? Do you want to potentially expand? Do you want to just use your space more efficiently? There are a number of questions they can ask, and when they've got all the answers, they can customize a closet to your needs. No more digging through suitcases on the ground, trying to find a pair of shoes that you don't see, jamming coat hangers in there. They can help you there with cubbies and mirrors and racks and all types of different customized options that they've got at One Bath and Closets. But you won't know that which they can do unless you go to onebathandclosets.com. Financing options are available. David Duvall and his team are happy to talk through those with you. They're going to do it right the first time and leave the competition behind. Check out that website, onebathandclosets.com.
Our listeners fire off their opinions on the jimsfirearms.net hotline at 499-1045. Keep listening for your next chance to shoot us your thoughts with the jimsfirearms.net hotline on 1045 ESPN Baton Rouge.
Bayou Ford is taking $15,000 off MSRP on new 23 Ford Expedition, $15,000 off new Ford Expedition, and all new Bayou Ford vehicles come with a 1 million mile warranty. The crew at Bayou Ford is going to do right by you.
Glide and twirl in a winter wonderland. Skating on the river is back. Ice skating at the Raising Cane's River Center Arena, December 18th through 31st. Visit RaisingCane'sRiverCenter.com for scheduled times, dates, and to purchase tickets. Sponsored by Fox 44, NBC Local 33, Guarantee Media, and Acadian Ambulance.
The best kept secret in town is out. Discover Tallulah at the Renaissance Hotel on Bluebonnet. The best kept secret in town is out. Discover Tallulah at the Renaissance Hotel on Bluebonnet.
Hey, boat owners, check it out. It is the holiday season, which means it's time to buy yourself a gift by taking your boat to the next level with our friends at Front to Back Boat Service. Now is the perfect time to upgrade your boat and get it ready for that warmer weather, whether that's trolling motors, HD sonar, anything and everything. The Sherman family's been at it for 30 years, and Devin's going to take you through 30 more. Find them on Facebook at Front to Back Boat Service or go to fronttobackboatservice.com.
Hey, it's Matt Moscona. For years, you've heard me tell you about Insurance Network of Louisiana, helping you find better coverage for less money. But it's not just for your home and auto. They also offer commercial property. So, retail stores, professional offices like doctors, dentists, attorneys, clothing boutiques. Insurance Network of Louisiana can find you better coverage for less money. They service the entire state of Louisiana, and they're local. So call today at 293-0450 or lainsurance.net.
The importance of doing this fortified program and offering it to people down here is, number one, the only real chance you're going to get to do this is when you put on a new roof or build new. And through companies like HUDCO, who's kind of leading the way in this thing, it's going to offer the customers a huge advantage in the insurance market and the price of their insurance.
You know, we're not looking to make a fortune off fortifying. We're trying to give you a better product than our competitor at the moment. I'm trying to do something that he can. I'm trying to give you something better. So a lot of these insurance shops, you're getting a re-roof, you're only paying your deductible.
Hey, it's Matt Moscona inviting you to join us for Wednesday's Hump Day AFR, presented by Pluckers. It's National Signing Day. Brian Kelly recaps the class, and we'll take a closer look at the Rams as the Saints head west. Join us, 3 to 6, 104.5 ESPN, Baton Rouge.
You're listening to the Hunt Palmer Show on 104.5 ESPN Baton Rouge.
It's a What If Wednesday. Get your what if questions in the Bayou Ford chat. Now, there are a number of you in there. If you want to throw a like, we'd appreciate that as well. But we'll answer your good what ifs. We still have some room in the What If Wednesday segment. Got some great entries via Twitter. So get those in. We'll get to them in about 12 minutes. In that first segment, I went through the fact that I think LSU's offensive situation is incredibly healthy. It doesn't guarantee All-Americans or wins, but in terms of depth and talent, I think LSU offensively is in a really good spot moving forward. The defense we know was terrible this year. It was terrible in a number of games. They could not stop Alabama. They could not stop Arkansas in the second half. They could not stop Missouri for 3/4 of the game. They never stopped Ole Miss. Couldn't stop Florida State. Defense was not great. I'm not telling you anything that you don't know. And you can't address that today. But it helps. Okay? So let's go through what LSU has accomplished today on the defensive side. And if you're just jumping in and didn't hear the opening segment, all 27 of LSU's high school and junior college signees have gotten their paperwork into LSU. There is no drama left in Baton Rouge today. So let's go to the defensive side of the ball. We start up front. And quite frankly, up front, LSU needs a lot of help. It starts with Mason Smith and Mekhi Wingo deciding to come back next year. That's where it needs to start. But outside of that, you're going to need to do some work. And LSU took 4 defensive linemen in this class from the high school ranks. C.J. Jackson is an edge player. He's a 4-star from Tucker, Georgia. Looks to be a strong pass rusher, a very good athlete, and a guy that all the services consensus like a lot on the edge. But he's the only guy in this class that kind of fits as the edge, outside linebacker, 4-3 end, pass rusher type guy. There are 3 that I would classify as defensive linemen, whether they play on the outside or they play on the inside, gain some weight. We'll see over their time in Baton Rouge. But Demarion Johnson is a 3-star defensive lineman from Westgate. Ahmad Bro is a 3-star defensive lineman from Ruston. And then the late flip that LSU got, which was huge in this class, Gabe Relaford, the 4-star, former Texas A&M commit from up in the 318 in Shreveport. He's a 4-star player and one of the top players in the state of Louisiana who's got a really strong highlight tape, a great frame, and could well be a physical, strong defensive end or grow himself down into the interior of the defensive front. This is a concern program-wide. And obviously, you've gone into the the junior college ranks and gotten Sean Washington to help here, and that's not a freshman. That's a guy who's got 2 years of college football under his belt. But this is a little bit of a modest haul, in my opinion, for a real position of need. Now, you've got some freshmen coming in, and LSU wants to do this with freshmen who develop. They don't want to continuously go to the transfer portal every single year. What Lane Kiffin is doing right now in Oxford is intoxicating. What Deion Sanders is trying to do in Colorado is going to generate a lot of headlines. But the healthier way to do this is to rely heavily on your high school evaluation, recruiting, and development, and then supplement it with high-level transfers year over year. But you don't want to get in the situation that LSU's been in defensive back 3 years in a row. That's not a healthy way to run a program, because sometimes you're going to hit like LSU did in 2022. Sometimes you're going to miss like LSU did in 2023. I'd rather stockpile high school kids as opposed to bringing in mercenaries for a year and then having them cycle out. So at defensive line, I think LSU still has work to do. And that may be in the later signing period. It may be in the transfer portal, and maybe they don't. But it's a spot of concern on the roster for me. I'm not disparaging any of the 4 commitments and signees now that LSU has on the defensive front, but I'm just saying they need more help on the defensive front, especially if Mekhi Wingo decides he's going to leave. At linebacker, LSU signed 4 players in this class. Tylen Singleton is a 4-star from Manny up there in the 318. Kalaj Cobbins, another 4-star from Destrehan, who had a very nice career over there in the 504. Xavier Atkins is a 4-star from Jonesboro, Louisiana, so 3 Louisiana linebackers there. And then you've got Devon Keys, who's a 4-star from Texas that I think a lot of people are really starting to like. He put on a show in the Texas high school playoffs, which, as we know, is big-time football. Devon Keys rolled up an immense amount of tackles in that time, and this is a healthy haul for LSU at linebacker. Obviously, you've got another year of Harold Perkins. You've got, you hope, a couple of years of Whit Weeks. I think Greg Penn will be back on next year's team, but you need to continue to stock those shelves on linebacker, and LSU's brought in 4. And, let's just be honest about this. Those 4 guys are probably not all going to finish their time at LSU, but if you take 4 guys and 2 of them are surefire starter hits, 50% hit rate there, that's pretty good. And you got to go back and do it again the next year. And maybe you got to bring in a transfer here and there. But you're asking, I think, kind of for a 50% hit rate. And that goes on a lot of your positions. Because if you had a 50% hit rate with your high school signees 7 years ago, trouble. Now, that's kind of what you're asking. And I think LSU's in a good spot there at linebacker. Corner. This has been a spot of bother since the change at head coaching positions, because you lost Ricks and you lost McLaughlin, and they were supposed to be the next 2 guys, and now you've had some young players transfer out that were corners for you, and you've been relying on the transfer portal far too heavily at defensive back. We know this. And this year, you brought in a bunch of corners, and Denver Harris didn't really play. And J.K. Johnson got hurt, and you couldn't use him. And the whole thing went awry at corner. So they brought in 3 more in this class. 4 more in this class, and I think that's a good start. Juwan Johnson, setting Louisiana high school records as a quarterback, as an elite athlete, committed to Colorado, went up there for a junior day and was like, I think I'll come back to LSU. Ends up in this class from the Acadiana area. P.J. Woodland, the Mississippi High School Player of the Year. He's only a 3-star recruit by the industry, but an elite athlete that just rolled up a ridiculous amount of statistics on both sides of the ball in Mississippi. There's a lot of optimism around P.J. Woodland. Bernard Causey, 4-star from the city of New Orleans. You hope that that's another one of those dogs that plays defensive back from down there in the 504, and there's reason to believe that he will be. Then Wallace Foster, another 3-star from down there at Warren Easton. I think LSU had some defections at cornerback with Andre Evans and some of those guys from outside the state. I like 4 and 5 stars, I'll tell you that. But there's a pretty good track record of 3 and 4-star defensive backs from South Louisiana showing up in Baton Rouge and playing really good football. And hopefully that's the case with this group. Juwan Johnson, P.J. Woodland, Bernard Causey, and Wallace Foster, your 4 corners in this class. And you brought in 2 safeties. both from the Baton Rouge area, both that are big, physical, and look to be really high-level prospects, not unlike Kylan Jackson last year. Same neck of the woods, same big frame and build, and hopefully really good safeties. LSU safety play, not great this year. That goes without saying. Way too many big plays, busted assignments, missed tackles, bad run fits. It was a lot this year. And so you're going to bring up a young crop of safeties and hope that there's some improvement there. But Sean McBride and Joel Rogers from Denham Springs and West Feliciana, respectively, are the two safeties that you brought in this class. That's 14 on the defensive side of the ball to go with 11 offensive signees from high school. And you got Aaron Burrell, the number 1 kicker, number 2 kicker, depending on where you look in the country, from Bossier up there at Parkway. Parkway sending some good players down here to LSU. Of course, Terrace Marshall, a Parkway product. Of course, Michaela Williams with Kim Mulkey's Lady Tigers, a Parkway project. And here is Aaron Burrell, a kicker from Parkway. So that is your 26 high school signees. You also include Sean Washington on the defensive line from the junior college ranks as a signee today. That is a look at your 27 signees for LSU. If you look at on 3 and how LSU ranks in terms of the team rankings at this point, which I do take seriously. It's not the gospel, but I do take it seriously. And on 3 thinks the most highly of LSU's class of any of the services. They've got LSU sitting right now at number 11 in the country. That sounds all fine and good at number 11. Then you realize Oklahoma's 9, Auburn's 7, Texas is 4, Alabama's 2, and Georgia is 1. That puts you 6th in the Southeastern Conference if you sit there at number 11. That slots you just in front of Tennessee at 12, Florida at 14. We'll talk about them a little bit later. A&M at 15. So if you look at the SEC in terms of the top 15, that is 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9 of the top 15 in the Southeastern Conference. That's comes as fairly little surprise because Texas and Oklahoma are not in the Big 12 anymore, and the Pac-12 doesn't exist. So you're looking at the deck being stacked towards the Southeastern Conference. LSU's hay is in the barn today. They'll await word potentially on Dominic McKinley today, but it doesn't sound like that's going to happen. And I think most eyes focus into the February signing period on Terry Bussey, a 5-star safety from South Texas, who is looking at LSU, as well as Dominic McKinley, who's yet to make up his mind after the coaching change over at Texas A&M. Those are the two that we've heard the most about from LSU. Will somebody crop up here in the late signing period? Probably, because your staff that's been going nuts for the last month trying to get this hay in the barn can now relax. I saw Ryan Day from Ohio State. They got their top-rated recruit. He was a huge wide receiver signee. The paper came in, and he almost fainted at the podium. And they said, "Can we get your feelings on how you feel today?" And he said that first beer is going to taste really, really good. So crack it open, Coach Day. I will allow that at this point in the afternoon. Coach Kelly can do the same thing because LSU is done for the day. 27 names in and as well as 3 transfers that LSU will bring in, a total of 30 new players to the football program on this first day of the early signing period. So that's your look at LSU's class in its entirety. If you missed some of this and want to go back and listen to it, we'd love you to do that. You can catch it at Hunt on LSU, our YouTube channel that gives you all your LSU football. You can find 10, 12-minute segments that come right to your homepage if you subscribe and like it. Casey does a great job of getting those up every single day, so we appreciate you for hanging out with Hunt on LSU. When we come back, it's a What If Wednesday on the Hunt Palmer Show.
The Hunt Palmer Show.
LWCC is Louisiana loyal, elevating and celebrating champions of Louisiana like Marucci Sports. Marucci Sports truly is on the forefront of baseball technology. That industry has exploded in the last 10 years, really in the last 5 years, and Marucci is right there with them. It's such an asset to our community to have a company like Marucci in it that can benefit young athletes that are trying to hone on their craft, and LSU's baseball team, LSU's softball team use Marucci as well. They also are great in terms of their ability to drive tourism to our city. Every single July, the Marucci World Series, thousands of youth athletes and players, coaches, parents, all show up here for the Marucci World Series. If you know of a champion of Louisiana like Marucci, nominate him at lwcc.com/champions. Marucci Sports is a champion of Louisiana. LWCC is Louisiana loyal.
In times of need, get a full list of phone numbers, websites, and other important emergency information on the Demco Stormwatch page at 1045ESPN.com.
Bayou Chrysler Dodge Jeep Ram has $10,000 off MSRP on new 23 Jeep Grand Cherokee, $10,000 off new Jeep Grand Cherokee, and all new Bayou Automotive vehicles come with a 1 million mile warranty. The crew at Bayou Automotive is going to do right by you.
It was a humid day, barefoot children play, looking for that summer shade. Time just slips away. Oh, Louisiana, some kind of hold on me. Like cypress stumps, your roots are planted deep inside of me.
The best kept secret in town is out. Discover Tallulah at the Renaissance Hotel on Bluebonnet.
Would a couple that just came from a couples massage have any use for the massage seats of the Infiniti QX60? Yes, it appears they would. With driver and passenger massage seats, mute all your notifications and feel infinitely you.
I've been doing business with Luba for 25 years. They're dependable, trustworthy. It's just the attention to detail with our clients.
Our folks have years and years of experience. They're highly trained professionals, but many companies have that asset. What I'd like to think makes Luba a bit different is that we use those talents in a way that truly is dedicated to serving the needs of the folks who depend on us.
Dylan Cruz here to tell you about Six Rings Baseball and Softball Camp. If you live on the North Shore and play ball, go to Six Rings Camps with former LSU assistant coach Dan Canaveri. His knowledge is second to none, and your child will improve and have fun doing it. Camps were held at Coquille Park and Six Rings Academy in Covington with 4 sessions over the summer. Full day and morning only sessions are available from ages 7 to 13. Go to sixringsbaseball.com or call 985-206-9096. Learn the game to love the game.
There it is, the extra mile, on the border of expected and extraordinary for those willing to go further, like vans customized for work or play, with safety and tech to keep you connected, supported by a 5-star sales, service, and finance team, and backed by the 1-star you know. So go the extra mile. It's never crowded, because so few have.
Sandigrove, join us for the Thursday edition of Live at Lunch, where Jolie Pearl, Oyster Bar, and Town Square Pizza. Matt Humans, Paul Nolan, and the 6-0 Dwayne Colucci join us 11 a.m. on Thursday. Live at Lunch, 104.5 ESPN Baton Rouge.
This is the Hunt Palmer Show on 104.5 ESPN Baton Rouge.
Moving right along, half that work week in the rearview mirror. I'm sure a lot of you may not be working a full week this week. That seems to be a prevailing theme around town. A lot of people got PTO they got to use up because it doesn't roll over. Just kind of done with their quota for the year, whatever the case may be. But if you're hanging out with us on the job, off the job, however the case may be, we certainly appreciate you spending a little bit of time with us. I got to talk about the Pels at the end of this hour because we did watch it last night over at Pluckers, and I have some thoughts on the end of that game. We'll get to some Saints and Rams in hour number 2 as well. J.D. Piquel not with us today in his normal spot because they've got a lot of signing day obligations they got to get to here on this Wednesday. So we'll catch up with J.D. next week. But right now, it's What If Wednesday.
Time, space, reality. It's more than a linear path, where a single choice can branch out into infinite realities. Follow me and ponder the question, what if?
All right, we've got a little bit of a two-parter here. We'll start with the first part. What if Brian Kelly makes 6 playoff appearances and never wins a national championship?
That would prove he did a really good job. I think continuing to go 10-2, 11-1, 12-0 over the course of a decade, which we think is how long Brian Kelly will be here, and getting to the playoffs 6 times, even though it is an expanded playoff, I think would be a good job. But I think if that's the way that it ended and the dust settled, he would say that he didn't get the job done, because people that come to be the head coach at LSU do so with a chance to win a national championship. The reason you take this job. It's one of the few in college football where a national championship is a realistic expectation, and the last 3 guys have done it. So I think that's why he took the job, and I think I would suggest when the dust settled that he did a good job getting LSU to that point consistently, because despite what's going on in Tuscaloosa over the years and what Dabo had going at Clemson for a while and what Kirby's got at Georgia, like, it is hard to continue to churn out winners, especially in what this SEC is going to be. But there is an ultimate goal there at the end, and that's something you'd like to accomplish if you're Brian Kelly.
All right, and the second part is, what if Brian Kelly makes only 1 playoff appearance but wins the national championship?
I think he would sleep better at night. I would suggest if Brian Kelly over the next 8 seasons, if we think that's how long he gets here, misses the top 12 in 7 of 8 years, that would be disappointing in a way. However, I will tell you this: if you gave me the option of, yes, 1 national championship over the next 8 years, or, well, I shouldn't say or not. Well, like, I would take it. I would take the 1 national championship, because I think there's probably a big faction of LSU fans that would say, well, I mean, we'll get to the playoffs. Like, we're going to win another national championship. It's really hard to do. Like, I think Jay Johnson.
It's gotten easier, though, with the expanded playoffs.
With the expanded playoffs to get in, but you got to win more playoff games when you get there. And
That's
you might
true.
have to go on the road to the north,
Yeah.
where LSU's never been before.
That's true.
There are some obstacles that are going to be presented there for sure. And look, Georgia's really good, and Alabama's really good, and Ohio State's really good, and so it's tough. But like, man, these football championships, I don't want to take them for granted. They're just so difficult. I think, based on the way the system is set up right now, that you can count on getting to Omaha a lot in baseball, and Jay's going to win a few more of these, couple more of these. Like, I'm not saying he's going to win 6, but I'd be surprised if he didn't win 3. Like, I think that the deck is so stacked in college baseball that I feel relatively confident in talking about. Football, man, this is hard. Like, it is really hard to do, to beat some of these teams and to navigate through this thing. So I know we've played for 4 of them in the last 20 years. I know we've won 3 in the last 20, but it's really hard to do. So I would take Brian Kelly's 1 championship if I was guaranteed that, over a guarantee of X amount of playoff berths. I would say that it's disappointing that he would only get there once, but if you get the national championship, I would take it. I mean, that's a lot of 9-3s, 8-4s, and 7-5s.
Yeah.
To get the 1 national championship, but I would take it. I guess that's the way I should frame it. I shouldn't have said, obviously you want to win one over not winning one. If you realize if you only make the playoffs once the next 7 years, 8 years, you've gone 8-4 a lot. Mm-hmm. So that's a lot to get through.
All right, we got some from Twitter now. So the first one here is, since it's signing day, what if 5 for 5 played out in reverse 10 years ago, and instead of getting Jamal Adams and Leonard Fournette, they went to Florida and Alabama respectfully, and LSU signed Hootie Jones, Speedy Noyle, and Gerald Willis?
So that was a crazy day, and I think, Beck, you said you weren't familiar with it. That was in January of 2013.
You said 13, right?
Is that right? Because it was Jeremy Hill and them's last game, which was 13. Yes. Okay. So it was January of 14, and it was a signing class of 14 that Leonard Fournette and Jamal Adams were a part of. And that morning, everyone thought LSU was getting 5 for 5. They thought LSU was getting Speedy Noyle, getting Jerry Willis. Was it Hootie Jones? I thought it was Tony Brown. But either way, it was one of those 2 guys. And then, obviously, Leonard Fournette and Jamal Adams. If you flipped it, LSU ends up with Gerald Willis, who got kicked out of school. And it was Speedy Noyle, who got kicked out of school and was not very productive at A&M. And then Hootie Jones was not a very good player at Alabama. And Tony Brown did play a lot. Ended up playing a little bit in the NFL. But Adams and Fournette became stars. So LSU got what it needed out of that day. Wildly enough, I didn't really cover recruiting very hard at the time. I was with BBI. Derek Panamsky handled the recruiting side of it. I did the team coverage. But I was in Tampa for the Outback Bowl when LSU beat Iowa, and we just stayed the next day and went to the Under Armour game. And I was in the press box at Tropicana Field, and things got so wild that morning with rumors that at that point, someone walked over to me at the computer and said, Saban's going to Texas and taking Fournette with him. Like, that's the level of absurdity that we got to in the press box that day. It was a wild, wild day, but Leonard Fournette and Jamal Adams ended up in Baton Rouge, and those guys became pretty good players. So,
all right, next one here. What if the Saints do end up parting ways with Dennis Allen? Who would you like to see them hire?
Can I use ulterior motives?
Sure, why not?
Lane Kiffin. You destroy Ole Miss, and then you bring a young, exciting offensive coach to New Orleans. I think, for me, the Saints are going to move on from Dennis Allen, and we'll see what happens over the next month. It feels like the best way to go is that Mike McDaniel, Sean McVay, Kyle Shanahan, young offensive guy. I mean, yeah, Andy Reid's awesome, but you're not gonna get him. I don't think John Harbaugh is coming on down from Baltimore. So, like, if you're gonna shoot your shot, I like the young, innovative offensive guy. It just seems like that's kind of the trend in the NFL right now. It's never a guarantee, and a lot of NFL coaching hires don't work. But if they're gonna do one, I think that's where I would go. But if it's me and I get to pick, I'm putting Lane Kiffin over.
Lane Kiffin. Yeah, it went really well for him at the in the NFL.
It's the Raiders, man, and nobody can win there.
That's true, I guess. All right, last one here. What if Nuss struggles in the bowl game? Do we see Ricky Collins get in, and it is an open competition with A.J. Swan, Collins, and Hurley as well going into the spring?
No, you're not going to see Ricky Collins come in for Nuss in the bowl game. This is Garrett Nussmeier's game. Here's what I can guarantee you.
Well, he may come in if they're blowing him out, you know.
Well, yes, you will see that. But my deal with this bowl game, there is almost 100% guarantee of massive overreactions by the LSU fan base based on this game. I'm trying to guard against it already because I know it's coming. If he throws 2 picks, people are going to lose their minds. If he looks phenomenal, people are going to lose their minds. I guess if he goes 21 for 31 for 241 yards, 2 touchdowns and a pick, maybe everyone will
probably just be okay.
Okay,
yeah.
But like I feel like if this game goes one way or another, people are going to lose it. And I'm not. Like, I'm just going to watch it for what it is, understand that this is not the exact same offense we're going to see next year, and certainly doesn't have the same guys on the outside. And Garrett's got another spring and fall camp of 1 reps that he's never really gotten.
This is just an exhibition game. That's all it is.
It is. And like I understand the vitriol that I've gotten from that, where people were like, what are you talking about? You don't care who wins. This is a football game. This is LSU. They take, like, I get it, and I wish I was feeling more like that because that's more fun, honestly. But Wisconsin's best 2 running backs are not playing, and it just doesn't feel like it used to feel. So I'm just going to take this game in for what it is, and I'll evaluate Garrett, and I'll give you my candid thoughts on it. But I promise you, I'm not going to be running to the Heisman Trophy ceremony or to the transfer portal based on 4 quarters of action on New Year's Day against Wisconsin. That's not going to happen here. So that's it for Take It or Leave It, Beck. Appreciate you for getting those questions read. When we come back, I don't do this a lot, but I am going to talk about what we saw from the Pelicans last night, specifically with 8 seconds to go in the game. I was watching it, Pluckers. I could not believe my eyes. We'll do that to wrap up hour number 1 next.
You are now listening to The Hunt Palmer Show.
Protect yourself from power outages. You can do it. Boudreaux's Electric can help you with it. Certified Generac generator dealer, premier Generac dealer, means they're in the top 3% nationwide. Neil and Melissa Boudreaux have been running Boudreaux's Electric for 40 years. I'm going to give you their phone number at the end of this read. You need to call them because you can protect yourself from power outages, whether you're in the home or not, for just $5.20 a day for the lifetime of a free 10-year warranty. Boudreaux's Electric has first-class employees. They're all full-time. They'll install your generator using the highest quality of copper and wiring and tubing, and they'll make sure that it's aesthetically pleasing when they do it, with the majority of the install going underground. You don't want a big unsightly generator taken away from the look of your home. You're not going to have that at Boudreaux's Electric. If you call between now and the new year, time's running thin. You got 11 days. You call between now and the new year, tell them the Hunt Palmer Show sent you over there, where you're a homeowner, whether you're a business owner or commercial property owner. Say, hey, with the Hunt Palmer Show, what can we do on generators? You're going to get a significant amount of savings. Give them a call at 225-300-9389, 225-300-9389. That's Boudreaux's Electric.
Our listeners fire off their opinions on the jimsfirearms.net hotline at 499-1045. Keep listening for your next chance to shoot us your thoughts with the jimsfirearms.net hotline on 1045 ESPN Baton Rouge.
Bayou Ford is taking $15,000 off MSRP on new 23 Ford Expedition. $15,000 off new Ford Expedition. And all new Bayou Ford vehicles come with a 1 million mile warranty. The crew at Bayou Ford is going to do right by you.
Elevate brand visibility, ignite customer engagement with the power of radio and digital advertising combined. Guarantee Digital Media brings the two together as a trusted media partner in Louisiana for nearly a century. Claim your free digital audit at guaranteemedia.com.
The interior of an Infiniti is thoughtfully designed to be all about you. And by you, we mean every version of you. Because there's luxury you can feel, and there's luxury that lets you feel. Infinitely you. Experience luxury like never before with Infiniti Premium Care, included with the 2023 QX80 at your local retailer.
Electricity is all around us, and our families depend on it. Every day is sparked by the power of a cold drink or a warm meal, a movie night, and a comforting light at the end of a dark hallway. From sunrise to sunset, playtime to bedtime, our team is ready to take care of your electrical needs. Even in the case of an after-hours emergency, the light in your life shines brighter with Mr. Electric.
At Relief Windows, we're more than windows. We're windows, doors, hardy plank, and vinyl siding. But our number one product is always customer satisfaction. Visit us online at reliefwindows.com.
I've been doing business with Luba for 25 years. They're dependable, trustworthy. It's just the attention to detail with our clients.
Our folks have years and years of experience. They're highly trained professionals. But many companies have that asset. What I'd like to think makes Luba a bit different is that we use those talents in a way that truly is dedicated to serving the needs of the folks who depend on us.
There it is, the extra mile, on the border of expected and extraordinary for those willing to go further, like vans customized for work or play, with safety and tech to keep you connected. Supported by a 5-star sales, service, and finance team, and backed by the 1-star you know. So go the extra mile. It's never crowded.
This Sunday, as we bring you 3 different NFL games, we start off with Colts-Falcons. Immediately following that, it is Cowboys and Dolphins. And then finally, the Patriots at Broncos. Tune in this Sunday to hear all 3 of those games here on 104.5 ESPN Baton Rouge.
This is the Hunt Palmer Show on 104.5 ESPN Baton Rouge.
So last night I'm at Pluckers and we're doing sports trivia. Had a great time out there. And we're watching the Pels and Grizzlies. And Jaden Daniels and Malik Neighbors are right there courtside. And man, the Pels are cooking. They go on a 28-2 run. Everything is clicking, and you're up 19 at halftime before the 3 that Williams hits to cut it to 16. But you go to the break feeling like the Pels are in great shape, and Memphis starts chipping away. And they chipped away, and they chipped away, and they chipped away, and they finally got that thing into striking distance. And the Pelicans' last 2 offensive possessions weren't bad. In fact, their last offensive possession, C.J. McCollum got a wide open 3, and he bricked it. I mean, that's a good shooter, clutch player, open look, and he clanks it. So Memphis gets the ball and they can finish the game. It's tied. There's 9.5 seconds left, and Memphis calls timeout. Now, at that point, I have no earthly idea what Willie Green told his team. No clue. But I've never coached a basketball game in my life, and I've got a reasonable expectation that Ja Morant is going to get the basketball with 9.5 seconds to go in a tied NBA game. And I'd love it if the Pelicans looked like they had any idea of a plan to stop him from scoring. He was hot. I realize he's just set out for 25 games, but he was feeling it, and he was going to get the ball. And best I can tell, Willie Green's plan was, hey, Herb, you're really good at defense. They're probably going to give it to Ja Morant. Guard him. Well, Willie, that's not a very good plan. Because Ja Morant took the basketball with 9.5 seconds to go back in the backcourt, was in very little hurry to get across the half-court line. Then he didn't start his drive with a between-the-legs dribble and go from the three-point line until there were 3.5 seconds to go in the game. None of the other four Grizzlies ever moved. They all stood on the three-point line and spread the floor and let Ja go. And the Pelicans inexplicably did not help. Yes, there was a token look by the two wings, but help means stop him from driving. And the most explosive player on the planet got a free run right to the rim and put it in. It was mind-numbing to watch the Pelicans defense make somebody, anybody else, score the basketball, not Ja Morant. This is a team without him that was 6-19. 6-19. They had not won a game away from Memphis. They're terrible outside of Ja Morant. Make one of those guys shoot it. Make him pass the ball. No, they didn't do that. Let Ja Morant coast up the floor, get into his drive at the three-point line, go right by Herb Jones to the rim, and put it up from 3 feet.
And this isn't an isolated incident.
It was the whole second half.
Well, yeah, and also this season, the Pels are third in the league in most losses after leading by 10-plus points. They have 6 this season so far.
The help on the right wing was I almost cussed there, was half-hearted, we'll say. There was no help from the right baseline. And then the left wing is where you had to cut off the drive because that's where he was headed. You have to get all the way in front of him so that he's got to give it up or pull up and shoot a fadeaway from 15 feet. They let him go right to the rim. That is 5th grade stuff. And I don't often go crazy on coaching. It's not really my thing. I don't ever know what's said in the locker room. I don't know what the game plan was, but this is obvious. Somebody has got to get the ball out of Ja Morant's hands, and to let him go unimpeded, basically, and not force him to give the ball up was awful. And I don't think he would have given it up, which means he would have had to take a ridiculous contested shot if you would have just sold out with a second defender, especially from the wing. I'm okay giving up a late clock 3 that would have come with inside 2 seconds to go by one of their off players. If he makes that, well, you've got a guy that we've got to deal with. So I'm going to have to give you that shot. I'm not giving Ja a 3-footer. Awful coaching by Willie Green. And an awful loss by the Hornets, who were playing a bad Memphis team with their star player just coming back off a suspension in front of a really good crowd on national TV. You had a 20-point lead, and you gagged it up, and the last possession was inexplicably awful.
You're so mad how you just called them the Hornets.
Yeah, Hornets, same thing. Same deal. I don't even have an emotional attachment to the Pelicans, but that, as a basketball fan, I do love basketball. I'm sitting there watching. I could not believe it. I could not believe they did that. So there's your Pels talk for the afternoon. We'll now take it to the Saints on the other side of the hour. We got to talk about Sunbelt Billy because things are not awesome in Swampland over there in Gainesville. So we'll talk about that a little bit later, as well as what else is going on in the Southeastern Conference. All of LSU's high school and junior college signees have sent their letters in. We talked about all of them the first 30 minutes of the show. You can go back and catch that on demand. 1045ESPN.com's on demand tab, Apple Podcasts, Spotify, Google, YouTube, wherever you find your sound. We'll pause for Sports Center, come back with Saints and Rams talk on the Hunt Palmer Show.
Gulf Coast Office Products is a nationally recognized Savin office equipment dealer based right here in Louisiana. Over 100 employees strong, Gulf Coast has the boots on the ground to support all vertical markets from education, engineering, legal, and finance. With the latest in office technology from desktop to production segment units, Gulf Coast and Savin have the perfect fit for you. Call 225-756-2644. That's 756-2644 for Gulf Coast Office Products.
Bayou Chrysler Dodge Jeep Ram has $10,000 off MSRP on new 23 Jeep Grand Cherokee. $10,000 off new Jeep Grand Cherokee. And all new Bayou Automotive vehicles come with a 1 million mile warranty. The crew at Bayou Automotive is going to do right by you.
Electricity is all around us, and our families depend on it. Every day is sparked by the power of a cold drink or a warm meal, a movie night, and a comforting light at the end of a dark hallway. From sunrise to sunset, playtime to bedtime, our team is ready to take care of your electrical needs. Even in the case of an after-hours emergency, the light in your life shines brighter with Mr. Electric.
Hey, it's Matt Moscona. For years, you've heard me tell you about Insurance Network of Louisiana, helping you find better coverage for less money. But it's not just for your home and auto. They also offer commercial property. So, retail stores, professional offices like doctors, dentists, attorneys, clothing boutiques. Insurance Network of Louisiana can find you better coverage for less money. They service the entire state of Louisiana, and they're local. So call today at 293-0450 or lainsurance.net.
Would a couple that just came from a couples massage have any use for the massage seats of the Infiniti QX60? Yes, it appears they would. With driver and passenger massage seats, mute all your notifications and feel infinitely you.
Dylan Cruz here to tell you about Six Rings Baseball and Softball Camp. If you live on the North Shore and play ball, go to Six Rings Camps with former LSU assistant coach Dan Canaveri. His knowledge is second to none, and your child will improve and have fun doing it. Camps were held at Coquille Park and Six Rings Academy in Covington with 4 sessions over the summer. Full day and morning only sessions are available from ages 7 to 13. Go to sixringsbaseball.com or call 985-206-9096. Learn the game to love the game.
At Relief Windows, we're more than windows. We're windows, doors, party plank, and vinyl siding. But our #1 product is always customer satisfaction. Visit us online at reliefwindows.com. Oh, by the way, we do shutters too.
This is SportsCenter.
I'm Christine Lisi. Biggest clip of the early signing period so far belongs to Georgia. KJ Bolden, ranked by ESPN as the best safety in the country, decommitting from Florida State and signing with the Bulldogs. Dolphins receiver Tyreek Hill, ankle injury, did not practice today. Team hopes he'll return to practice in the coming days as they get ready for Sunday's game against the Cowboys. Eagles guard Landon Dickerson had thumb surgery today, expected to miss Sunday's game against the Giants when the team tries to snap a 3-game slide. Philadelphia is at a critical point of the season, believes Freddie and Harry co-host Harry Douglas.
I was concerned before Monday Night Football. I'm really concerned now when things aren't right now. I want to see who's going to still be engaged. And it's also a time for those guys to come together, not spread apart. And I think, in your toughest moments, that's what I want to see. I want to see how guys are able to come together. Or are they going to fall apart?
Harry Douglas on unsportsmanlike. The Jets activated quarterback Aaron Rodgers from injured reserve, but they did confirm he will not be returning from a torn Achilles to play again this season.
Brought to you by the Capital One Venture X card. Earn 10x miles on hotels and rental cars and 5x miles on flights when you book through Capital One Travel. Plus 2x miles on all other purchases. Capital One, what's in your wallet? Terms apply. See CapitalOne.com for details.
Ladies and gentlemen, may I direct your attention to something quite extraordinary?
Now, the Hunt Palmer Show. The Hunt Palmer Show on 104.5 ESPN Baton Rouge. Live from the Mercedes-Benz of Baton Rouge studios. This is Hunt Palmer.
Hour number 2, Wednesday edition of the Hunt Palmer Show, 104.5 ESPN Baton Rouge. Thanks for hanging with us. Got Jacob Beck and Casey Gaines back there on the ones and twos. Just dawned on me, it's a guest-free show today. No guests, but that's okay. We'll just rock and roll right on through it. It is the first day of the early signing period for college football, and LSU has got 100% of its committed hay in the barn. That is 27 high school and junior college signees. All of those papers were sent in prior to 1 o'clock and us going on the air. So kind of a boring signing day, but that's a very, very good thing. Don't want any crises on a day like today, and LSU certainly did not. We'll talk about some of those coming up in the next segment. So stick with us here. We'll talk a little Saints and Rams. Thursday night football from L.A. Saints, get finished up with a nice performance on Sunday. Come back in for your treatment. Get a little bit of film done on Monday, a walkthrough on Tuesday. They'll travel today, and then they will play the Los Angeles Rams coming up tomorrow inside SoFi in a huge game for both of these teams. And for the Saints, you played two very poor teams over the last 2 weeks, but you've played a little bit better. And for the Rams, they're playing their best ball of the season. They started 3-6 on the year. They have won 4 of 5 since, and the only loss in that 5-game stretch for the Rams was a 37-31 loss at Baltimore, and they may be the 1 seeds in the AFC. So the Rams have been very, very good. The Rams offense averaging 33 points per game over its last 4 contests. And Matt Stafford, who is past his prime, and he did get his Super Bowl that he was so yearning for, had to get out of Detroit to do it, but he got it. He's battled injuries and age, and he's still playing pretty well. If you look at the last 4 games for Los Angeles, he's completing 66% of his throws for about 265 yards per game. He's thrown 12 touchdowns over those 4 games and only 1 interception. He's been very good. On the outside, we think of the Rams as the Cooper Kupp show. And he's been good since missing the first month. Had a touchdown catch in each of the last 3 games for the Rams. But Puka Nacua has kind of become their number 1 guy. He's their leading receiver. They took him in the 5th round out of BYU this year. Gone over 100 yards 5 different times. And so Stafford kind of uses those 2 guys as his go-tos on the outside. We know the Saints have been excellent in terms of pass defense this year. They're 6th in the NFL in passing yards per game allowed. That's allowed them to be 6th in the NFL in points allowed per game. And while Marshawn Lattimore is a huge piece to that, honestly, the other guys have done a good job. Paulson Adebo has been a hit for them as far as draft picks go. I like Alontae Taylor and the speed that he has and the physicality that he's playing with right now. While Tyrann Mathieu's not the player he was, he's still opportunistic. He had a couple of picks a couple of weeks ago, and you can generally count on him to be in the right place. Is he explosive as he once was? No, but this group as a whole has played very well. This, however, will be their biggest test in a while since Trevor Lawrence came to town. And we know that the Jaguars kind of went up and down the field early in that game. So in a year where you've gotten so many breaks in terms of the quarterbacks that you've played, you did not see Anthony Richardson. You saw Jordan Love early. That's the first time I've not said Bryce Love. You saw Jordan Love early when he was still trying to figure some things out. And you played pretty well in that game until you gagged it away at the end. But you've seen Bryce Young, who's not been good. You saw Mac Jones, who's been benched. You saw Tyson Bagent, who's a backup, and Josh Dobbs at backup, and Desmond Ridder, who's been benched. And you have really played some poor quarterbacks. But you played Trevor Lawrence and gave up 31 points, and you played Jared Goff and gave up 33. So while I do think the Saints have a quality pass defense, it does lend itself to a discussion of, hey, is this really more a product of the quarterback play, or is this a unit that is toward the top of the NFL? We'll probably get that answer pretty quickly with Matt Stafford and Puka Nacua and Cooper Kupp in this game. If the Rams go up and down the field, my confidence level in the Saints matching that is not good. For me, when I look at this game, I think the Saints need to win it 21-17, 24-20. They probably don't need to win it 35-31, right? That recipe doesn't sound sustainable. Look at the wins that the Saints have posted this year. Against the Giants, 24-6. Against Carolina, 20-6. Against the Bears, 24-17. Now, things got moving against Indianapolis, 38-27. And I don't need to talk too much about the Patriots game because I don't count that when we're talking about teams that can really play, and the Rams can really play. The Patriots can't. But then you go back to early in the season, they beat the Panthers 20-17. They beat the Titans 16-15. They need to win low-scoring games. Now, full transparency here, I like the way the Saints played on offense on Sunday. I thought that was very good. It was the best I thought they'd looked all year, outside of maybe the Patriots game. And so maybe they're starting to find a rhythm, and that'd be great. You look at the injury report, and Chris Olave's starting to give it a go. We'll see if we see him. He's, banged up and didn't play last week. You've got Jimmy Graham in the red zone, who's become a little bit of a threat. Shaheed's back and as healthy as he's been in a while. And Derek Carr managed to hit 9-10 guys last week and spread the ball around. So maybe they're finding something, but I'm not going to bet on that. If I have to bet on something clicking for the Saints and winning this game on the road on a short week against a team that is a quality opponent with a good quarterback, it needs to be closer to 20 than 30. I'm just not ready to bet on Carr and this team going out there and winning a fourth quarter shootout. And the Rams are capable, like I just mentioned, 33 points per game in their last 4. The Saints need to pare that down by 2 touchdowns, in my opinion, to have this thing feel comfortable. Does the pass rush get home? We talked about that yesterday. The Rams have been pretty good about that because their quarterback knows how to get rid of it, not because he can move. Does that allow you to play some more press coverage? Does that allow you to be more opportunistic? That was the tenor yesterday. Either way, you can do it with turnovers, which the Saints have done. You can do it with just good old-fashioned stops or being tough in the red zone. There are a lot of different ways to hold this Rams team closer to 20 than 30. The Saints have got to find that out one way or another come Sunday. We'll talk more tomorrow about what the Saints need to do offensively and what went well over the weekend. But to me, the strength-on-strength piece of this is the Rams offense with Kupp healthy now and Stafford healthier against a Saints defense that, for this point in the year, is pretty healthy. I'd love to have Lattimore out there. Trust me, that'd be great. I'd love to have Marcus May out there. That'd be great. I'd love it if Peyton Turner was available. He hasn't been all year. But Cam Jordan is playing. Carl Granderson's been limited this week. You expect him to play. And the rest of your group is fairly healthy. DeMario's fine. Tyron's out there. Adebo, like I mentioned, and Alontae Taylor are good to go. You've got your interior players. For Christmas time, that's about as good as I can ask. This is the point of the calendar where things get to be a war of attrition, and the Saints are holding up okay. They got to find a way to get this win, though. A win on Thursday for the Saints drastically alters the way you look at this entire thing. So does a loss. It's massive. Not quite as massive as your divisional game next week. But if you lose this one, you could set yourself up to turn out the lights next week on the road against a division team that came into your house and throttled you early in the year. You could be done this time next week. 2 weeks. But you could put yourself in a great position if you can find a way to get this done. So tomorrow, I'll give some more thoughts on the Saints offense. I'll give you my final pick for this game. It's an interesting one. I don't know that the Saints have been super interesting this year. They've kind of been frustrating more than interesting. Tomorrow's interesting. Short week, trip out, veteran quarterbacks, stars on defense, potential Hall of Famers. It's all there. Saints have got to get it done against the Rams in SoFi coming up on Thursday Night Football. All right, still plenty to get to here in hour number 2. There's been a lot of drama outside of Baton Rouge today. Not really much inside, but outside. And a lot of it focuses on old Sunbelt Billy down there in Gainesville. We'll talk about that coming up next.
The Hunt Palmer Show.
Jersey Mike's, Highway 30 in Gonzales. For your catering needs, try our friends over at Jersey Mike's. They can do their catering a number of ways. They can do individually boxed lunches that include your sandwich, include your chips, include your cookie, individual boxes. That's great inside the office, lunch and learn, year-end lunch, whatever the case may be. You're working late hours trying to get things finished for the end of the year. Jersey Mike's can get that done for you. They fed 2 entire football teams in one day. They can handle your office, I promise you. They can also do big boxes like they brought here to Guarantee a couple of weeks ago. They just have 12 individually wrapped subs in them. They went in like 8 minutes. You want to grab those 2 boxes, 24 subs, put them in the break room. I promise you, those will get gobbled up pretty quickly. They can get the original Italian, the club sub, whatever the case may be. Jersey Mike's, awesome on the catering side. Add a cookie tray, add a brownie platter. They love to do those as well over at Jersey Mike's. You can download the Jersey Mike's app. Stop by and see our friends at Highway 30 in Gonzales. Make it Jersey Mike's, a sub above.
In times of need, get a full list of phone numbers, websites, and other important emergency information on the Demco Stormwatch page at 1045ESPN.com.
Electricity is all around us, and our families depend on it. Every day is sparked by the power of a cold drink or a warm meal, a movie night, and a comforting light at the end of a dark hallway. From sunrise to sunset, playtime to bedtime, our team is ready to take care of your electrical needs. Even in the case of an after-hours emergency, the light in your life shines brighter with Mr. Electric.
Gulf Coast Bank and Trust is giving our customers the power to bank anywhere, anytime during this challenging event. And we're right there with you. Our mobile banking app is a smart way to manage your money and time. Gulf Coast Bank and Trust, the bank that cares about you.
His name was King. He had a horse along the countryside. I saw him ride. One day they found him.
The Windsor Senior Living Community in Mandeville, Louisiana is a beautiful, vibrant apartment community geared toward seniors. They are nestled right in the heart of Mandeville, where seniors live a more carefree lifestyle in spacious apartments with the peace of mind that comes from having a little extra help. Call the Windsor at 985-624-8040 to schedule a lunch and tour. Come see how the Windsor can be your passport to peace of mind.
The interior of an Infiniti is thoughtfully designed to be all about you. And by you, we mean every version of you. Because there's luxury you can feel, and there's luxury that lets you feel. Infinitely you. Experience luxury like never before with Infiniti Premium Care, included with the 2023 QX80 at your local retailer.
Dylan Cruz here to tell you about Six Rings Baseball and Softball Camp. If you live on the North Shore and play ball, go to Six Rings Camps with former LSU assistant coach Dan Canaveri. His knowledge is second to none, and your child will improve and have fun doing it. Camps were held at Coquille Park and Six Rings Academy in Covington with 4 sessions over the summer. Full day and morning only sessions are available from ages 7 to 13. Go to sixringsbaseball.com or call 985-206-9096. Learn the game to love the game.
I've been doing business with Luba for 25 years. They're dependable, trustworthy. It's just the attention.
Hey, it's Matt Moscona inviting you to join us for Wednesday's Hump Day AFR, presented by Pluckers. It's National Signing Day. Brian Kelly recaps the class, and we'll take a closer look at the Rams as the Saints head west. Join us, 3 to 6, 104.5 ESPN, Baton Rouge.
You're listening to the Hunt Palmer Show on 104.5 ESPN Baton Rouge.
As you just heard there from Matt, it is National Signing Day. If you missed this at the top of the show or hadn't been paying attention, been working and just kind of got out of the wilderness there, LSU had 27 kids commit and sign. All the paperwork was in before 1 o'clock today, so no drama here in Baton Rouge. And I want to be clear before we get into this segment here where we poke a little bit of fun and, you know, this is all fun and games. We don't know if any of these kids are going to be good. The 3 stars might be All-Americans. The 5 stars might be bust. Half of them are going to transfer from the school that they signed with today. So take it with a grain of salt. I'm not trying to predict the future here. I'm just having a little bit of fun as we look at this. But, you know, Billy Napier is feeling it in Gainesville right now. I had said when they were LSU was hiring a coach, I thought they should hire Billy Napier. I'm upfront about that. I wanted Billy Napier to go from ULL to here. I thought he would be a really good fit in Baton Rouge. Okay, I said that at the time. I also think he has almost no chance of coaching against Florida State in the finale next year. 1, they've been terrible the last 2 years. 2, their schedule is obscenely hard next year with Miami and Florida State and Georgia and Ole Miss and LSU and Missouri, and it's just ridiculously hard. And the really one thing that he was kind of hanging his hat on, not him personally, but those that were analyzing the job he was doing at Florida was, yeah, they're losing this game, yeah, they're losing that game, yeah, they're looking great. But have you seen this signing class he's putting together? I said it. Look at this class. He's a really good recruiter. He's always been that. If you look at the guys who transferred out of Louisiana Lafayette when he left, Mekhi Garner came here and was a good player. Kyron Lacey's been a good player here. He brought, the name slipping me, but the offensive guard that he brought there that became an All-American at Florida. Trevor Etienne was a guy. Montreal Johnson was a guy that he had at Louisiana Lafayette. Like, he had some really good players at ULL, and that was like the galvanizing cause behind Billy Napier. Like, this guy can really recruit. And as of earlier this week, he had the number 3 class in the country. However, yesterday, Xavier Filsaime, 5-star safety commit, flipped from Florida to Texas. Today, 4-star defensive lineman Amaris Williams flipped from Florida to Auburn. Today, 5-star defensive lineman L.T. McCray said, I'm not going to sign today. We'll wait. All of a sudden, the bottom has fallen out, and Florida's class went from number 3 earlier this week back to number 14. Not exactly a disaster, but when you consider what Billy Napier and his program needs right now, it's a shot of life. They're not getting it from wins and losses. They're not playing in a bowl game this year. The signing class and the transfer portal are the linchpin to a little bit of momentum and positivity. And right now, it's not there. And while you might say, well, who cares how positive the fan base is right now. And why does it matter what people are saying on message boards? Well, it doesn't matter what people are saying on message boards. It doesn't. But the name of the game in college football now, and this is not a secret, and it's not an old thing, but it is a real thing. It's not a new thing, but it is a real thing, is donors' pocketbooks. And if you've got a donor base that thinks you're a dead man walking, they're not going to sink a bunch of cash into your players. They're going to sink their cash into your walking papers. We have seen coach after coach come to the podium today, some wearing NIL gear with their collective sweatshirt. Marcus Freeman talking about how great a job the collective did in terms of organizing and recruiting student athletes. Now, when they made this name, image, and likeness thing legal, they said, and this is the NCAA, you can't use it as a recruiting inducement. And we all knew that was a joke. Because, yes, while Jaden Daniels winning the Heisman Trophy and immediately tweeting out a picture of him holding the trophy with a box combo saying, my winner's meal is Cane's, that's cash in his pocket, and that is a part of this. The biggest part of this is how much can we pay high school kids to show up. And the coaches know it. And you've got Marcus Freeman at Notre Dame praising his collective, and you've got the new head coach at Mississippi State, Jeff Levy, coming to the podium in his Mississippi State collective sweatshirt today. That ain't an accident. You need all the people that donate the money on your side. And if Billy Napier can't get them on his side with wins and losses, and now the recruiting class crumbles, they're not going to be able to get this thing together next year either. And the fact of the matter is, he's toast. He's not going to make it. Because if you can't get the boosters to pony up because they know they need to save their checkbook for your buyout, it's over. I don't know quite how vital that was 10 years ago because the money was under the table and it wasn't as traceable and it wasn't necessarily maybe as important. Now that it's above board, it's wildly important. And it would shock me if Lane Kiffin didn't have a Grove Collective hat or shirt on today because it's very obvious now they've got everything in front of them with this transfer portal and they're just making it happen. And that's supposed to be against the rules, but I ain't blaming Ole Miss for it. Trust me. You're not supposed to use it as a recruiting inducement. Fact is, that's all it is. And I'm not in back rooms and dealing with sources and understanding just how much money player X or player Y are getting. But Florida right now is a sinking ship. And I just don't think there's any way that Napier's got enough shovels to get the water out. We had heard in the last 3 weeks, in a conversation that I had with a source very randomly associated with Florida football, that things are not in a good spot over there. In the last 48 hours, 72 hours have just been disastrous. They did manage to hold on to DJ Lagway, their 5-star quarterback commitment, and it looks like he's going to sign with them within the hour. But a lot of the rest of this class is being picked away. And I promise you, prying a recruit from Arkansas, which they did earlier today, ain't going to fix anything. So if you look around the rest of the Southeastern Conference, should come as no surprise that Georgia has the number 1 ranked class in the country by On3 Sports, 28 commitments, 3 of them are 5 stars. Alabama right behind them with 25 commitments, 3 of them are 5 stars. Beck, do you think that these players, those 3 5 stars that sign with Alabama, those 25 players that will commit to Alabama, will have another coach by the time they're finished at Alabama?
I will say yes, if they stay there for 4 years.
Is that the first time you would have said that?
Yes.
I would agree with that. I would agree. I don't think Nick Saban. There are some of these 25 will play 4 years at Alabama.
Yeah.
2 or 3, 5 of them will play 4 years. I think they'll have a different coach, which I've never said before either, but that's what it feels like at this point. So that's Georgia and Alabama at the top. Texas continues to roll. Only 21 commits in their class, in their high school signing class. 3 of those are 5 stars. Oregon doing a nice job with Dan Lanning. They come in at 5th. Mike Norvell in Florida State. They've upgraded the facilities there, and while people think that they're, kind of little brother at this point because they ran the table and didn't get a chance to sit at the real big boy table, they come in at 6th. Hugh Freeze should come as no surprise. he's going to recruit and he's going to organize, and they're going to do a good job of getting players and coaching them. They come in with a number 7th ranked class. Oklahoma coming into the SEC, they're 9th right now. LSU coming in at 11th and on 3 sports. Tennessee at 12. I mentioned Florida at 14. Texas A&M with Mike Elko, only 15 commitments on the high school side of this thing. We know that a lot of their players have left via the transfer portal as well. They're trying to reel some of those guys back in. Shamar Stewart is a guy they're trying to reel back in. They're trying to get Donovan McKinley to sign his papers today. Terry Bussey is a guy that's looking around as well. So A&M's probably not done, but this is that transition class for Texas A&M. And I'll tell you, like, candidly, I'm not terrified of A&M over the next 20 months. I'm just not. That could change. Mike Elko could really do a great job in the portal and coach him up on defense, and maybe Colin Klein's that dude on offense, and they find it somewhere around the corner. But I've been intimidated by the talent level on that team for the last couple of years. I don't feel that way today. We'll see how things move forward in the future. Lincoln Riley's class, kind of average, 11 4-stars and 10 3-stars, 21 commitments for Southern Cal. And then the interesting thing that Ole Miss, on the high school front, 21 commitments for Ole Miss, 8 of them 4-star, 13 3-star. That lines up with what Ole Miss usually does in recruiting. They had that one class that had Kim Dichie and Treadwell and Laramie Tunsil, and that Hugh Freeze put together, and they signed a monster class. But usually they're looking around 15 to 25 with a good number of 3-stars and a few 4s sprinkled in. It's funny to me, not funny, that's the wrong word, interesting to me that Lane Kiffin, it appears to me, is very much prioritizing going to get the best transfer players. Like, they're going to spend their money on Walter Nolan for a year as opposed to a potential 4 or 5-star high school kid. And this, make no mistake, this is like a salary cap thing. Like, you've got a finite amount of money to spend. Like, that's where they're going to spend it. They're going to get DeCameron Richardson to play cornerback probably for 1 year. Walter Nolan probably to play 1 year. And I don't know how the NIL deals work with high schoolers. You're going to get this over 3 years. You'd rather cut the length of that contract and just pay the guy one up front and have him come in. Like, but it's obvious now that we can talk about money out in the open, and you don't have to be the scorned lover who a recruit picks another school. You go, oh, they just paid him. Well, now we know they're paying them. That's obvious. And Ole Miss is prioritizing the payments to the portal kids, and their high school class is pretty pedestrian at this point. Arkansas is another school I wanted to talk about briefly. Sam Pittman feels like a guy that's on his last leg. We talked about it yesterday with their class and how they had 5 4-stars in Arkansas, which doesn't happen very often, and 2 of them are already committed to Missouri and 1 to Auburn. And Arkansas's class, as we look at it today, is ranked 31st in the country, right there with Purdue and NC State and Central Florida. They've got 11 3-stars and 5 4-stars, and then a 2-star committed. That's not going to move the needle for Sam Pittman, and it feels like he and Billy Napier will both be out this time next year. I have a lot of confidence in saying that when those buyouts go down. And the last school I wanted to mention with no SEC ties, this is strange to me, y'all. I'll be very honest. Colorado's signing class has 9 players in it. 9. 1 5-star, 3 4-stars, and 5 3-stars. Now, they got Quincy Wiggins, and they went and got a bunch of linemen from the portal, including one that was an all-conference player, and maybe that works. But wasn't the thought that Deion would just open the gates and 5-stars would be running to Boulder? Like, isn't that what we thought? I don't think anybody thought, man, Deion's going to coach the heck out of the DBs. They're going to be awesome at that, and they'll just be awesome on defense because he's a defensive guy. Like, your thought when Deion got hired was he'll bring the juice, he'll bring the publicity, he'll bring the eyeballs and the players, and then they'll go coach them up. Where are the players? Their class is ranked with Stanford and Minnesota's. There's 9 dudes in it. Huh? How does this work? 100%, well, not 100%, 82% portal? That seems like a very, very difficult way to make a living. I have no massively positive things to say about Deion or negative things to say about Deion. I liked watching him play, and I think he's a reasonably interesting soundbite.
3 minutes ago, 24/7 Sports, the 5-star offensive tackle that Colorado had committed is apparently going to be flipping to Maryland. That's their crystal ball for 247.
There you go. So now you've got 8 guys, 3 4-stars and 5 3-stars.
Not official, but that's their projection.
Well, they never miss on those. So the portal's important. You got to do it. You got to get NIL. But if you're signing 9 high school kids a year, you have no chance, in my opinion. Maybe he proves me wrong. I think he's got no chance at this point. So that's my thought on some National Signing Day scuttlebutt around the country. We got 30 minutes left to go here. We'll come back with more on the Hunt Palmer Show.
You are now listening to the Hunt Palmer Show. Our listeners fire off their opinions on the jimsfirearms.net hotline at 499-1045. Keep listening for your next chance to shoot us your thoughts with the jimsfirearms.net hotline on 1045 ESPN Baton Rouge.
His name was Cain. He had a horse along the countryside. I saw him ride. One day they found him.
Life in Louisiana is a song. A symphony of sound, colors, and movement. Life is here, now. For life's moments, big and small, always there. The right card, the right care.
Glide and twirl in a winter wonderland. Skating on the river is back. Ice skating at the Raising Cane's River Center Arena, December 18th through 31st. Visit RaisingCanesRiverCenter.com for scheduled times, dates, and to purchase tickets. Sponsored by Fox 44, NBC Local 33, Guarantee Media, and Acadian Ambulance.
Electricity is all around us, and our families depend on it. Every day is sparked by the power of a cold drink or a warm meal, a movie night, and a comforting light at the end of a dark hallway. From sunrise to sunset, playtime to bedtime, our team is ready to take care of your electrical needs. Even in the case of an after-hours emergency, the light in your life shines brighter with Mr. Electric.
Would a couple that just came from a couples massage have any use for the massage seats of the Infiniti QX60? Yes, it appears they would. With driver and passenger massage seats, mute all your notifications and feel infinitely you.
The best kept secret in town is out. Discover Tallulah at the Renaissance Hotel on Bluebonnet.
Get real with your dermatologist so they can help you get clear. Get real clear about psoriasis at letsgetrealclear.com. Sponsored by AbbVie.
Discover, this is Daniela.
Hi, it's Jennifer Coolidge. I just want to thank you for making me feel so special. I earned cash back on debit for my dinner party groceries.
That's great, but with Discover Cashback Debit, we give everyone cash back on everyday purchases. Anything else I can help you with?
Do you like asparagus and mushroom sorbet? I've got leftovers.
Introducing Discover Cashback Debit, a checking account with cash back. It pays to Discover. Eligibility and terms at discover.com/cashback debit. Discover Bank, member FDIC.
For a Thursday edition of Off the Bench, as we talk college football with Caroline Fenton, Chef Michael Johnson joins the show for a new edition of Munchies, and it's game day for the Saints against the Rams. Off the Bench, 7 to 10 a.m., 104.5 ESPN Baton Rouge.
This is the Hunt Palmer Show on 104.5 ESPN Baton Rouge.
Bear with me here for the next 10 minutes. This segment is probably better suited for like August 14th than December 20th. But it's just something that dawned on me, and I'll toss it out there to you, the football-crazed LSU fan. We know that LSU's offense this year was high-flying. It was the best in the country. They were stretching the field. They were making things happen on the edges. Your quarterback could run for 140 yards if he needed to. Like, it had an identity, and it was awesome. And I think we're all in agreement that identity's got to shift next year based on personnel, right? You don't have a quarterback with the running acumen of Jaden Daniels. You don't, that you know of right now, have two All-American wide receivers who might go in the first round of the following draft. You might, but you don't know that. And so as I start to think about how the offense could come together next year, I look and I go, well, I like your tackles. You've got Will Campbell and Emory Jones. I think Lance Hurd could win a spot there as a really, really talented player. You may lose some of the interior of offensive line, but you may get some of that back as well. It kind of depends. But it's reasonable to think that Brad Davis's offensive line is going to be a good one for LSU next year. And then I think about the fact that maybe Logan Diggs is back. I love Caleb Jackson. Trey Holly looked good at practice yesterday. You're bringing in Caden Durham. Okay, well, I've got a big physical offensive line and some talented backs. And I'm a little unproven at wide receiver. I like Kyron Lacey. I think Aaron Anderson's still got a chapter to write in his story. I love the speed of Jaylen Brown, the polish of Kyle Parker, the talent and athleticism of Shelton Sampson. But that may take some time. So it would lend itself to, hey, maybe this is a team that runs the ball a little bit more and a little bit more effectively in a traditional sense. Not that Jaden Daniels play breaks down, outrun defensive linemen, get the corner, and get me 25 yards. No, traditional read option stuff and handoff stuff with some talented backs. And you know what pairs really nicely with that? Good tight ends. Mason Taylor, going into his junior season, really, really productive player. All of a sudden, Matt Markway and Kamorian Pimpton are sophomores. You've got the ridiculous frame and catch radius that Pimpton offers. We saw it in fall ball. I'm telling you, in fall camp, we saw Kamorian Pimpton go up and make catches at the high point. Yesterday, he looked good, running routes, didn't have a drop. Markway's big physical dude. He can help with this running game that we're talking about, and he can catch the ball too. And oh, by the way, today you got a signature from Tradez Green, the number one tight end in the country, who can run and jump, and he's 6'7". And while there is some talent and depth ahead of him, like we saw Eric Gilbert come in here as the number one tight end in the country and be really productive before whatever happens off the field brought him away from the program. That's a guy that I think could come in and play. Well, all of a sudden, I'm starting to develop what may be the identity of this team. It might be being physical and running the football on first downs. It might be that on 3rd and 3s and 3rd and 5s, there's some play action and some throws around the line of scrimmage that Garrett Nussmeier is very comfortable with to big targets. It's a little bit more fun to watch Malik Neighbors moss guys in Starkville. It's a little more fun to watch those last 3 ridiculous wide receiver catches against Texas A&M. I like Brian Thomas over the top, deep ball against Florida. And maybe Shelton Sampson is that dude. Maybe Shelton Sampson looks just like Brian Thomas next year. I don't know. But as I start to think about letting those receivers mature and grow up around Kyron Lacy, I kind of like the idea of, hey, we're going to give it to Logan Diggs if he's back, and he's going to be a guy that's toward the top of the SEC in rushing yards. We love the fact that when Diggs is kind of pounded away, that, oh, those fresh legs of big, strong, sophomore Caleb Jackson are coming at you. And you've got Caden Durham, who's a home run hitter, waiting in the wings as well. And oh, by the way, as I think about that tight end passing game around the line of scrimmage, and I think about running the football and being really physical behind a veteran offensive line that's been cultivated over 3 years of really strong recruiting. You know what that opens up? The deep ball. You know who likes to throw the deep ball? Garrett Nussmeier. That kind of feels like where this is headed, right? And I hadn't given that a lot of thought because we're worried about winning a Heisman Trophy, and then you're worried more about the recruiting aspect of it, and then we start to look at Wisconsin. But when I was going through the class today, and I started thinking about how they're going to utilize guys in the program that are in this class, and I came across Tradez Green, and I started thinking about the tight end room and Markway and Pimpton, Mason Taylor. That's where this whole thing kind of showed up. And we saw LSU kind of revamp the offense identity-wise in the offseason last year. We saw Mike Denbrock say out loud in press conferences, we caught the ball with our backs to the end zone too much last year. We were good at it, but we need to change that and get our receivers moving a little bit. And they worked on that. And with a phenomenal talent at quarterback and phenomenal talents on the edge, you saw the transformation of the offense. It feels like in that internal study of what you've got, what you do well, and what you need to do with this group of players, with that group on the offensive line, that talent in the backfield, unproven on the outside, but really, really strong at tight end, that this makes a lot of sense to me. Now, can they implement that in February, March, and April, and then get it rolling in August so that that's what they look like when they take the field against USC? I'll be quite honest. I don't really want to lose a 5th straight season opener. That really takes the wind out of the sails. In a 12-team playoff era, it's a little bit better, but I'd like it to hit the ground running, and that kind of, to me, seems like where this thing is headed next year. Again, I hope I'm wrong, and Shelton Sampson and is just mossing dudes, and Jalen Brown's a deep threat, and Aaron Anderson's healthy and running jet sweeps and drag routes, and nobody can catch up to him, and that whole Kyron Lacy's great, and I hope all that's the case. But if I'm trying to be realistic about where position groups are with this LSU offense, that's kind of where I think it is. But if you go back to the top of the show, I said this. I think the program in terms of the offense is in great, great shape. We'll see. Just my thoughts on some LSU offense here. We'll get a little deeper into LSU and Wisconsin starting tomorrow because we're off on Monday and Tuesday of next week. Monday's Christmas, Tuesday we're off. We come back Wednesday, Thursday, Friday, and then all of a sudden you got it ready for a game. So we'll talk a little LSU and Wisconsin coming up tomorrow. All 28 of LSU's high school and junior college signees are inked. They are all that paperwork came in before 1 o'clock today. So stress-free day for a lot of the folks over there at LSU Football Ops. We'll come back and close out a Wednesday edition of the Hunt Palmer Show next.
The Hunt Palmer Show. In times of need, get a full list of phone numbers, websites, and other important emergency information on the Demco Stormwatch page at 1045ESPN.com.
The world's leaders in obesity research, obesity medicine, and obesity science are right here.
We're doing something that no one's ever done or trying to answer a question that no one's ever asked before.
Pennington is a real jewel when it comes to research.
We are finding the solutions to the world's worst chronic disease, which is obesity. Louisiana needs Pennington Biomedical.
Hurry into your local Acura dealer for the Season of Performance event going on now.
Follow us on Twitter at 1045ESPN to cast your vote in the Citizens Bank and Trust poll of the day. Vote daily inside Off the Bench, live at lunch, Hunt Palmer. And after further review, Citizens Bank and Trust brings you the poll of the day via Twitter at 1045ESPN.
When it comes to ending cancer, we push forward, always working together for you. That's why our cancer experts at Ochsner have clinically integrated with MD Anderson Cancer Center. This means advanced cancer care, including access to life-saving clinical trials and integrating care to treat the whole you. Introducing Ochsner MD Anderson Cancer Center. Long live you.
Electricity is all around us, and our families depend on it. Every day is sparked by the power of a cold drink or a warm meal, a movie night, and a comforting light at the end of a dark hallway. From sunrise to sunset, playtime to bedtime, our team is ready to take care of your electrical needs. Even in the case of an after-hours emergency, the light in your life shines brighter with Mr. Electric.
The interior of an Infiniti is thoughtfully designed to be all about you. And by you, we mean every version of you. Because there's luxury you can feel, and there's luxury that lets you feel. Infinitely you. Experience luxury like never before with Infiniti Premium Care, included with the 2023 QX80 at your local retailer.
Gulf Coast Bank and Trust is giving our customers the power to bank anywhere, anytime during this challenging event. And we're right there with you. Our mobile banking app is a smart way to manage your money and time. Gulf Coast Bank and Trust, the bank that cares about you.
I've been doing business with Luba for 25 years. They're dependable, trustworthy. It's just the attention to detail with our clients.
Our folks have years and years of experience. They're highly trained professionals, but many companies have that asset. What I'd like to think makes Luba a bit different is that we use those talents in a way that truly is dedicated to serving the needs of the folks who depend on us.
There it is, the extra mile, on the border of expected and extraordinary, for those willing to go further, like vans customized for work or play, with safety and tech to keep you connected. Supported by a 5-star sales, service, and finance team. And backed by the 1-star you know. So go the extra mile. It's never...
Charles Sandiger joins us for the Thursday edition of Live at Lunch. We're Jolie Pearl, Oyster Bar, and Town Square Pizza. Matt Humans, Paul Nolan, and the 6-0 Dwayne Colucci join us 11 a.m. on Thursday. Live at Lunch, 104.5 ESPN Baton Rouge.
Frosty the Snowman was a jolly happy soul with a corncob pipe and a button nose and 2 eyes made out of coal. Frosty.
This is the Hunt Palmer Show on 104.5 ESPN Baton Rouge.
Got some Saints injury news. I don't have the full injury report available via the Saints Twitter feed, but I do have news from Dennis Allen. Says Chris Olave will play tomorrow night against the Rams, so that's good news for the black and gold. Beck, I think you've got some news maybe on Ryan Ramczyk, who did not practice today. Is that what it sounds like?
Yeah, Mike Triplett about an hour ago, I think, he said Ryan Ramczyk will be out for the game tomorrow.
That's a bummer. Obviously, the Rams have a pretty salty pass rush. A lot of that comes from the interior, but you want to have Ryan Ramczyk available. Although, the Saints did do a pretty good job in protection last week with Landon Young out there at right tackle. So, bummer there, but good news on Olave. That does help you if you're the New Orleans Saints, and certainly Derek Carr. So we'll get you all things Saints and Rams tomorrow. It's a big game day for both of them. Let's do one more thing today. It's play, take it, or leave it.
All right, first one here. The Pelicans Skeletons uniforms from last night. Uniforms are take it or leave it.
I don't really know how there can be another side to this. This is a leave it all day long. There's no way anyone can like those, right?
I don't like them.
You're just going to have to do a little bit of explaining to me as to where we started to get into different uniforms that aren't anywhere remotely close to the color scheme of the team. Like, if you want to wear the Mardi Gras uniforms for a couple of weeks because that's unique to the city and in the fabric of the city, okay, that's fine. If LSU wants to go out there in all whites, but they're in purple and gold, like, I don't like it, but, like, I get it. The Pelicans are red, white, and blue. They're out there in black and neon. And I guess we have to do this because 8-year-olds will see this on TV and demand these jerseys for Christmas, and it drives revenue. Is this... how does anyone like this? I'm an old man. I know. I'm self-aware, but it's the wrong color.
Again, though, I think this is also part of the NBA trying to emulate soccer somewhat, because in a lot of times, like the bigger European teams, they almost have a different jersey every year, and their third jersey that they wear, kind of like the alternate, like for the Pelicans, is always some offshoot of like a color that really has nothing to do with the team.
But teams have colors.
Yeah,
like,
you're right.
The Saints are the black and gold.
Yeah.
They don't need to go out there in green. I don't.
I agree.
The purple and gold. LSU doesn't need to go out there wearing orange. It's so bizarre to me that the NBA has gone to this model where I can turn on TNT and have no idea what two teams are playing. Like, no clue. And for some reason, I guess it's like people that want to wear LSU camouflage stuff, like, or pink. It's just like that. You want to wear camouflage? Like, that's great, but LSU's purple and gold. I don't get it. I don't understand. And I guess it's here to stay. I got into a back and forth with my buddies in my group text yesterday because I'm not going. This is not like a boycotting of the Cubs. This is for my personal enjoyment. The next time I go to Chicago, which is usually a Friday, Saturday, Sunday, I'm going to go to the Saturday game because on Fridays they wear the navy blue softball uniforms, and I hate them. And I went last time, and it took away from, not all of my enjoyment, but a portion of my enjoyment was taken away from the Cubs not wearing their pinstripes. So I will go on Saturday when they're guaranteed to wear the pinstripes, and I will enjoy that, and the Cubs won't lose any money on it.
I have to say that is just, I mean, I understand you don't like the uniforms.
It's not like I'm never going to go. But I don't want to go on Friday. I'll go on Saturday. Usually on Saturday we do what she wants to do, and on Friday we do the Cubs game.
It's
on Friday,
just a jersey.
But I want to see the Cubs in the pinstripes. It's Wrigley Field. It's the green ivy. It's the blue and white pinstripes. It's not navy with Wrigleyville written on the. It's just, it sucks.
All right. Let's move on. Steelers wide receiver George Pickens was asked about not blocking on a red zone run last week. He said he didn't want to get rolled up on, so he bailed. Take it or leave it.
I gotta leave it. Like, I understand. But at that point, we just got to go sell insurance, or we got to go, be a plumber. Like, we can't.
It's part of your job to block.
Yeah, you need to block the guy. Like, that's what we need to do. It's tough on the offensive lineman. We have to do it on every play. I got to have you throw it. This is a red zone run. And he's like, yeah, I can't get hurt on that. Well, no, that's not. We can't do that.
Yeah. All right, hot chocolate. Take it or leave it.
Take it. There's so many foods and drinks that I have not outgrown. I have not outgrown Capri Suns.
I don't think anyone outgrows hot chocolate.
I have not outgrown hot chocolate. I've not outgrown quesadillas or chicken fingers. And I now have Myers in the house who eats almost nothing but chicken fingers and French fries. So I get like a few chicken fingers and fries like twice a week, and it's quite a perk. I love making a quesadilla. I feel like hot chocolate gets the rap of being a kid's drink, but I'm probably gonna have some tonight because I'm watching. I don't
think so. I think hot chocolate is a universal drink, and
everybody drinks coffee on Christmas morning, and I'll have hot chocolate because I don't drink coffee. So it's a good compromise.
All right, last one here. The Falcons have gone back to Taylor Heineke. Desmond Ridder has started his last game as a Falcon. Take it or leave it.
I don't know how they're going to offload him. He's a draft pick. They're going to have him on the team next year, and if he's on the team, there's a pretty good chance he's going to at least start one game based on injury or
unless they draft another quarterback.
Well, they could. That's true. So I'll leave it because I think he's going to play for the Falcons next year. Do I think his ship has sailed as their franchise quarterback? I do. I think they've gotten enough of a look at it to look at this and go, this is not the direction that the franchise needs to go. I think there's going to be a new coach there next year that's going to have to make that decision because I think Arthur Smith is toast. But I think that the Ridder experiment is done, and they'll probably have to dip in and find something else out. The Saints have got Carr. It seems like the Bucs are going to go with Mayfield, and the 49ers at least have another year and change of Bryce Young. Falcons are the one that may have to make a move there, and I think they probably will. That'll do it for a signing day edition of the Hunt Palmer Show. I broke down the whole class the first 30 minutes. If you want to hear it, Hunt on LSU. It's where you can find it on YouTube or any of the places that you find your audio. Search the Hunt Palmer Show. It was a What If Wednesday earlier today. Gave my thoughts on the Pelicans loss last night, which was heinous. Saints and Rams. I talked about the Saints and that defense slowing down a Rams offense is playing pretty well. So we'll preview Saints and Rams tomorrow. Matt will probably do a lot of that today on his show. He's going to drive you home. Coming up next, we'll see you tomorrow on the Hunt Palmer Show.
There it is, the extra mile, on the border of expected and extraordinary, for those willing to go further, like vans customized for work or play, with safety and tech to keep you connected, supported by a 5-star sales, service, and finance team, and backed by the 1-star you know. So go the extra mile. It's never crowded, because so few have what it takes to go there. Mercedes-Benz Vans.
Hey, it's Matt Moscona. For years, you've heard me tell you about Insurance Network of Louisiana, helping you find better coverage for less money. But it's not just for your home and auto. They also offer commercial property. So, retail stores, professional offices like doctors, dentists, attorneys, clothing boutiques. Insurance Network of Louisiana can find you better coverage for less money. They service the entire state of Louisiana, and they're local. So call today at 293-0450 or lainsurance.net.
The importance of doing this Fortified program and offering it to people down here is, number one, the only real chance you're going to get to do this is when you put on a new roof or build new.